Did you know there's a good side to feeling disconnected and like you don't belong? When we're growing up, we want to feel like we fit in somewhere, that we're part of something. We want to be liked, loved, accepted. And of course, this still happens as we become adults. As we get older, we carry these needs or desires with us, and oftentimes it's what drives our need for success. This strong need to feel accepted can oftentimes be the driving force. It's what pushes many people to strive for success, to be recognized as important and valuable in some way, as worthy of being looked up to, admired even. Something that I've been hearing a lot lately in my work with people is that they're feeling kind of alienated. The word disconnected keeps on coming up. Maybe you're feeling this yourself these days. There's definitely a reason it's so widespread right now. Most of the world is polarized, very divisive, and very much us versus them. People are heavy with fear of not having enough, and someone else is trying to take it from them. We're surrounded with stories of oppression and war. Now, this isn't exactly a news flash. It's everywhere in the media, social media, and it's reflected in the elections many countries have had recently. It's really easy to see the ugliness of humanness right now. It can also be easy to feel disempowered with all the negativity and lack of accountability. Now, why is this all happening? Why is disconnection and this sort of feeling that nothing really matters so pervasive? It's really here so strongly to shake us awake, or at least give us the opportunity to awaken, to provide a catalyst, the fuel to the fire of the desire to connect to what's really important, to become aware of and to clarify your connection to what I call your big S self, the part of you that's infinite, indestructible consciousness, and your connection to the one, oneness, source, the field, or whatever you want to call that very highly resonating consciousness from which everything comes and to which everything returns. Because when that happens, you feel connected to everything. You feel what has always been there, which is that you're intrinsically part of the one. In this video, I'm going to share how to feel deeply connected and more alive. My name is Cheong. I catalyze your shift from the ordinary to the exhilaration of the quantum by giving you the tools to change your frequency resonance so that the life you live matches the life you dream of. So, how do you feel more connected and more alive? Takeaway number 1. Use that feeling of disconnectedness as a catalyst to connect you with what's really important. I have a client, Meg, who was a total overachiever. She came from a family of overachievers, and she was super successful. Highly motivated litigation attorney with a really high win rate in all of her cases. And she would work nonstop in order to prove that she was worthy of all these accolades, because she was also winning awards. Now, here's the thing. She was working really hard, getting all this external attention, but she was really starting to feel not good, physically, mentally, emotionally, because even though she was making a ton of money, and even though she was being recognized by her peers, she started to feel empty and like, what am I doing? I'm just feeling exhausted and like there's something missing. Her physically getting sick really shook her up, and she realized, wait a minute, I'm not that connected to the people that I really want to have deep connection with, and I don't really know who I am. And that scared the living daylights out of her. So she decided to take even more time off work and to begin her healing journey. She started to do frequency work, and she found that, wait a minute, I can heal myself physically through the food that I eat. She started to educate herself. She started to eat differently, and she got so excited about what it was that she was learning that she wanted to share it with others because it made such a tremendous difference in how she felt. Now, at the same time, she's releasing her distortion patterns, these distortion patterns that had driven her in the past, these distortion patterns of not feeling worthy, not being seen or heard, which drove her in the past to overachieve. So as she cleared her distortion patterns, her frequency resonance started to rise. And the funny thing is, now she feels more connected to herself than she ever has before. So what's interesting is this woman who had such deep distortion patterns to overachieve, so much so that she drove herself to sickness, now, because she's so deeply connected, so impassioned by what she's sharing with others to help them feel their best, Now, without even doing anything, people are knocking on her door to speak to thousands of others to help them become their best selves. We're so used to believing that something outside of us is what will make us feel more connected, more a part of something, like we belong, like we matter, that sort of thing. We'll do a lot of things to try and get that sense of belonging from other people. That's why so many people chase success. They want to feel important, like their lives matter. They want to feel like they're worthy of being loved and appreciated and looked up to. And this helps them to feel connected to something bigger than themselves. But the problem is that it's dependent on something external, and it's unstable. So ultimately, people eventually end up feeling empty again. And there's the ever-present fear that it'll go away. So you keep needing to chase more and more of it. It's also one of the reasons why so many people stay in toxic relationships or work environments. They have the feeling that at least they have somewhere they belong, even if it's something that's not beneficial to them, something they don't really like. You may recognize that you're in a situation or a relationship that's abusive or where you feel diminished, but because it's still a connection, which feels better than no connection at all, you can let it carry on way past the expiration date. With these two examples, and pretty much any other example you come up with, there's something outside, external, and we're very conditioned to reference externally to ourselves in this way. To look at others for our sense of belonging, to look for approval and acceptance to feel like we belong. The thing is, you're looking in the wrong place. Instead of looking outside for acceptance, love, and connection, the best way is to turn your gaze inward. The reason you're feeling that emptiness is because you don't feel whole and complete within yourself. You've forgotten that you're intrinsically connected to the oneness, that you're completely beloved by a source that is infinite. You're connected to everything. Okay, so I know that this is not a new idea. A lot of spiritual traditions talk about this, but it's not about a mental understanding of the concept. That's fine as a first step, but it's really about getting into that feeling sense deep into your bones, that knowingness that you have when something is true and clear for you. A lot of people need to have discomfort in order to change. We're funny as humans. If we're really comfortable, it's often hard to gain enough momentum to create a shift. But as discomfort grows, especially when it starts to become emotional or physical pain, that's when we start to look around for some sort of different solution. So how do you use the fact that you don't like feeling disconnected to feel more connected to what's really important? How you get there is by clearing what I call your distortion patterns. They're basically unconscious patterns and programming that happen at a really deep level. In the situation we're talking about right now, they're patterns that keep you feeling like you need to drive hard to be enough and to have enough, and they keep you feeling separate. They can even make you feel that you're not worthy of being loved. When you clear enough of these distortion patterns and you have the tools to learn to come into your center over and over again, you start to recognize, I'm doing all this behavior so I feel validated. I feel seen when I do it. What if instead you could feel complete without any doing at all? I'm not saying to not go out there and create things to help yourself and other people, to create value in the world. Please go out and do that. But what changes when you turn your gaze inward? Start to clear out your distortion patterns, is that your frequency resonance rises as a result. The higher your resonance, the more and more connected you feel to the one. Once you have that, you don't really need anything else. So you still do all the things you got to do, but you do what you're doing out of a sense of inspiration, out of a joy of serving at a higher level, simply because you get to, not because you have to in order to feel good about yourself. You start referencing your own frequency resonance, your own sense of wholeness, your own awareness of your connection to the one. You get to create it and foster connection with others if you want to, because it's joyful, but you don't need it in the same way. Takeaway number 2. Cultivate and clarify your relationship with the one. My client Tanya had always felt awkward with other people. She always felt she didn't fit in. She never knew what to say to anyone. She was terrible at small talk. She always felt that people were judging her because she was so awkward with them. She started doing frequency work and releasing her distortion patterns. And the awesome thing is that as she started to release her distortions, she started not really caring so much about what other people thought. Why? Because as she started to clear her distortion patterns, she started to feel more and more connected to the oneness. And when she felt that connection, it wasn't about having to do things differently. It wasn't about being more perfect. She just could be more her. So when she started to interact more with other people, she realizes, wait a minute, I don't have to be different to be liked by them. I'm okay just being me. And so because she was just okay being her, people started to want to connect to her more because she was more authentically her. So ultimately, it's not about being more perfect or doing things better. It's about cultivating the most important relationship of all. And from there, everything starts to change. The feeling of connection that we crave, that feeling of wholeness that we seek, all stems from the desire to remember our connection with the one. So what do I mean by the relationship with the one? And why does it matter so much? When you're aware of, clarify, and cultivate your relationship with the one, you recognize and feel your own wholeness and the incredible importance of you as an inseparable part of that oneness. Without you, the one is incomplete. Without the one, you feel incomplete. Your relationship with the one is the most important relationship you have. The clearer your awareness of this relationship, the clearer all of your relationships, not just with others, but with everything. Life, money, magic, time. It's your awareness of your very personal connection to Source, the one, oneness, the divine, whatever word you use for it. It's always been there. And always will be. It is, in fact, what animates you. Without the spark of the divine within, you wouldn't be alive. You don't need to be perfect to have a relationship with the one. You don't need to say prayers or chant mantras or wear white or fast or eat only specific things on specific days. It's intrinsically part of you, and you're intrinsically part of it. You've just forgotten. Part of awakening is to viscerally feel that aspect of you that I call the big S self. The part of you that's infinite, indestructible consciousness, completely and utterly aware that it is part of the oneness. Now you may think to yourself, well, that sounds like a nice idea, but I have no freaking clue what that means. But can you remember a time when you looked up at the expanse of a starlit sky, or gazed out at a gorgeous sunset, or took in a spectacular view from a mountaintop? You can feel your heart expand. You feel grateful for everything in your life and for being alive. This is when you started to feel and experience that aspect of yourself I refer to as the big S self. The part of you that knows that you're limitless, that you're infinite, and very much intrinsically part of the one. So as you develop your awareness of your big S self and intentionally cultivate your relationship with the one, you expand that deep feeling of connection to everything. It's not something thought, it's felt. It's something you're just viscerally aware of. And when you feel or become truly aware of it, you know it unshakably with every cell in your being. And at that point, you simply can't feel disconnected because you experience yourself as being part of everything in the most profound way. One of the fastest ways to cultivate your relationship with your big S self and the one is to really deeply anchor into the center of yourself. Why? Because we're often in our heads and we're thinking about what if that insert bad thing happens in the future? Or what if this doesn't happen? Oh, and what's for dinner? When you're spinning up in your head, You're not very present in your body in this moment in time. You're in a future that doesn't exist, worried or thinking about whatever you have to do, or you're in the memory of the past and how this should have happened or why that didn't happen. To really be in a place where you're starting to release the distortion patterns that block you from experiencing your big S self and your awareness of your connection to the One, you have to be present and centered in your body in this present moment of linear time. The work I do is to help people release distortion patterns, and I do that through special quantum level meditations that I call group frequency calibrations. I've created one specifically to target distortions that keep us from being fully present and centered in our bodies. It's called Centering into the Zero Point. If you need help to feel more centered, more grounded, and more at ease, then click on the link in the description below to get your free access to my Centering into the Zero Point group frequency calibration. Takeaway number 3. To feel more alive and more connected, you need to be more aware of your body. Now, I realize you might be thinking, hello, of course I'm aware of my body. It's me, isn't it? But how aware of your body are you really? And I don't mean I need to lose 8 pounds, or I wish my body looked like that, or I wish this didn't hurt. I mean actually aware of your body, without judging it, right now, in this moment in time. Your body only exists in the present moment of linear time. This might sound a little like a Zen riddle, but think about it. Every moment for your body is now. 5 seconds from now, your body isn't in the future. It's right now. And the same thing for a month from now, a year from now. To your mind, those are times in the future. But when you're actually there, it's simply now. So while we're kind of used to our bodies, we often don't pay attention to them unless something's hurting or something's going on, like we're tired or injured or sick. Often, we don't really want to be present with ourselves and all of the things that we feel when we're present in the body. I don't know if you've noticed this, but often you'll eat even when you're not really hungry. You're just bored, or you're just procrastinating, or you don't want to deal with and feel an emotion or something that you're aware of on some level but don't want to admit. So you're distracting yourself with the comfort of eating. It's called emotional eating, and it's just an example of one of the behaviors we do when we're trying to avoid being present in the body and having the emotions that we do, or sometimes for some of you, the memories or thoughts we can have that just aren't good. It's times like this that you beat yourself up, feel like, I really suck, blame yourself or others or even life for everything that's going wrong. And it's not just food that we'll use to not be present in the body. For some people, it's edibles or smoking up, alcohol, sex, porn, overconsumption, getting lost in social media, or even celebrity worship. Whatever the distraction is, if you don't become aware of and address the distortions and resulting emotions and thoughts by being present and having the tools to navigate all that stuff, it can be really hard to be present. And if you're not present in the body in this moment, it's really difficult, if not impossible, to feel the connection that you have to everything. If you want to learn more about why this time is so pivotal, why the polarization is so intense, and it seems like the world is going to hell in a handbasket, but that it's actually a good thing, check out this next video. I'll see you inside.